Hey, welcome. It
Hello.
is the StewKast. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. We're here to talk about the review for the Bash at Berlin, and this is what we're going to talk about today. So, welcome to the StewKast, the Pod Wrestling Podcast. I am Lou Marconi at lmarconi251 on Instagram, at lmarconi1973 on Twitter X, and my heterosexual co-host is Corey Castle
You
at
know, I don't,
Corey
I don't,
Castle.
I don't normally advertise that I'm heterosexual most of the time. I don't walk around volunteering that information to people.
I do, so it's okay.
Okay. Hello. Good to meet you.
Good to meet
This
you.
is
Hey, good to
this
see you.
is my heteronormative wife.
Yes.
Yes.
It's good to know. It's
Yeah.
good to know. It's
So,
good to know. So we're here to talk about the Bash at the Berlin show, and just pretty much this is going to be a review for the show. But before we go any further, we are sponsored. We are sponsored by Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. The link is in the show description. Click on that link. Order up some coffee. It is a great company out of Columbus, Ohio. Great coffee. You will not regret it. Feel free to feel free to go ahead and do that. So, thank you for joining us. So, Corey, go ahead and give me your initial thoughts on the Bash at Berlin, because the very first match was Cody Rhodes and
I mean,
Kevin Owens. Yeah,
I wrote some notes.
go
I
ahead.
wrote some notes for each match. I can give you.
My notes are up here.
All right. So for the Kevin Owens versus
Hmm.
Cody Rhodes, I'm just gonna say what these notes are, and then we'll kind of discuss it
Hmm.
as these are coming out. It's not saying I'm just gonna like rattle right through it all, and then that's all I'm gonna have to say about it.
Right.
But when it came to Cody versus Kevin Owens, it was uh, face versus face for the first match. That's not something that's very common,
No,
and
no, not at all.
like normally for like the first, especially in another country, these fans aren't like trained to react the way that fans like uh, the normal product, like American fans are normally trained to come in, root for the one they like the most, and boo the one they don't like. This is kind of the opposite of that because like they didn't have anybody to hate in this match. They didn't have anybody to boo. They didn't have anybody to go, "Oh, you suck! Stop beating up on our hero." You know,
Right.
uh, which might have had like repercussions later when and I'll get to that as far as like the reactions to Gunther. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was just bizarre, especially to be the very first match on a foreign card.
Yeah. I would say this though. That crowd was hot.
Oh wow, incredibly hot. Yeah,
Yeah, that crowd was hot. That was definitely a thing I noticed. And
that
the
was one
only,
of my notes in here. I said crowd
yeah,
super hot for everything.
yeah. The psychology I liked in the match. There was one part. It seemed like Cody went from head, arm to leg. He didn't like really stick to one body part at one point, but otherwise, because he went into the figure four for some reason, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, why did he do that? And usually after a figure four, a guy can't walk, so that's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That was the one thing I kind of thought about. But go ahead, continue.
There's something that I notice, and maybe it's just my trained eye that notices this. And please tell me if you ever notice this. When someone's sit upon the top rope, like as if they're then gonna then follow that up with going for a superplex.
They
If they
moved their
sit
legs.
somebody upon the top of the rope, draping the legs, whether they do drape the legs or don't drape the legs, is always something I notice.
Yeah,
Because it's like I think about that, and I think about like how a casual fan would watch that and consume that piece of information and go, oh well, I knew it was going to be a setup for him to do the spinning brainbuster thing off the top, like or what you know what I'm saying, like
hmm,
because he didn't drape the legs. Like I wonder if that's a thought that fans ever have, or if they're just so lost up in the experience of watching live wrestling that
I
they
don't
let
know.
that slip. Like
I
I've not posted matches that I've had before because I've neglected to drape the legs, and I go, oh, I don't want any vets to ever see that and think I suck.
I never thought of it that way, to be honest with you. Um, no, no,
Maybe it's just a me thing.
no, it might be. No, I've seen. I always notice that when they move the legs or they don't move the legs. I always pick up on stuff like that, but I never really did a lot off the top rope, so I never put much thought into it when executing anything like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that would probably be the best way to go about that. But go ahead. What was the second match?
Oh,
Because
I had a couple more notes on the first
oh,
match.
Cody. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
The the story, the psychology of, uh, like you said, him going all over with working the body parts, but then the psychology of keeping Kevin Owens a babyface and him like not following up on his heel instincts. You know what I mean? They kept saying, "Oh,
Mhm.
he's lost that killer instinct. He
Yeah.
could have capitalized there. He just cost himself the title there."
Yeah.
And then have it and Cody go over clean, like no reason, no interference. The only thing that would have been dirty about it was if Kevin had turned, but he didn't.
Right. He didn't. They teased it.
Right.
Yep.
So that's all I had to say for that. But for the women's tag team match, that was second. I didn't take any notes for it because I wrote down here walked out of the room to change our bed sheets
Jeez.
while
I
that match
watched
was.
the match. Unlike you, I watched it, and I would say that for tag team psychology, it was good.
Mhm.
It was good tag team psychology. So I was good with that.
Mhm.
Match it wasn't unwatchable. I don't think so.
Mhm. I mean, it's a lot of rinse and repeat with that stuff. Like I feel like I've seen so much. Like I've seen one thing that those teams have done with each other. I've seen it all.
You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hmm. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I did you hear my last point that I made?
No, I did not.
I said I feel like it's a lot of rinse and repeat. Like you've seen it one match of theirs, you've seen them all.
Yeah. Understandable. Understandable to feel that way. Yeah. It wasn't really that eventful to me, but it was like, okay, it was a good match, good ring psychology. It wasn't sloppy or anything wrong with that, and I was fine with it. Trying to think, there was only 5 matches,
Right.
so the next one,
Was Drew and Punk the strap
was it
match?
Drew and Punk? Was the strap match third?
It's third. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
I
I,
mean,
I loved that was my favorite match of the show, to be honest with you. And I like it how they did the green lights and the red lights so people can keep track of who
yeah.
touched what corner.
I did take a note that they could have made the lights brighter or like changed the way that the lights were lit up, like or
Hmm.
like they have LED lights up and down each post. Can't
Right.
they turn those red or green too as those lights light up? Like there could have been more like like hey, this is on, and they like were bad with the timing on the lights, like the turning them off or turning them on or turning them back. Like it was
Yeah.
like whoever was in charge of turning the lights on and off wasn't really paying attention or something. They must have been watching the replays of the women's tag match.
Yes, that's exactly what they were doing.
They weren't paying attention.
No, they weren't paying attention. They were watching replays of the women's tag match. They're deprived. That's why.
Right.
Um, yeah. Well, the thing I was going to say at the end of it, it looked like that was the end of the feud,
Yeah, it
didn't it?
looked like it, but if you watch Raw on
No,
Monday,
no, no. They
it,
kept the feud going because McIntyre came back and he destroy the bracelet this time? Is that
he
what
ripped it up and he shoved it in Punk's mouth. All the little
Ooh,
beads in Punk's mouth.
Ooh.
So it's going further from here.
Oh yeah, it's going to escalate. Do you think build up? Do you think how far they're going to go with it? I mean, so the
Probably
Survivor Series.
probably to WrestleMania. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a Hell in a Cell.
It's possible.
I mean, look at how they performed in a strap match. That's a gimmick match that so rarely happens.
Yeah.
And you know the same finish, like, and I don't know if you listen to Cornette talking about like the way that lots of strap matches ended, like that spot they wound up doing it where like Punk was up on Drew's shoulders and he walked and touched each one, and Punk was touching the one behind him.
Hmm.
They
Yeah, they did
they
that spot.
did that spot. Every strap match does that. I mean, like me
All right,
me
you
and
froze
Rich,
on me.
really,
Yeah.
I'm not frozen on mine. Can
No,
you still
you're fine
hear me?
now. Yep, yep, I can hear you. Now you're good now. You're good now. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's but go ahead.
Um, Rich and I used to do these shows in Reading all the time, Reading, PA. And they used to do strap matches, and every strap match had the same handful of spots that they would do every time there was one of those strap matches. And I remember us being like, "Oh, we're so worn out on this, and this crowd has to be so worn out on seeing these that that I was like, oh, I could go without ever seeing another strap match again and being okay with it. How
Man,
played out those were.
yeah, that but for it's rare the match doesn't that type of match doesn't happen that often. This one
So
was
great.
good. This one was entertaining. I thought it was great. It was my favorite match of the show, and I thought,
There haven't been any of those in modern times. I don't remember ever
oh, it's
seeing one in modern times.
a long time. It's been a long time since I've seen one. I can't remember the last time I saw one. So I was glad it was refreshing. It was nice. Um, fourth match. What do you got?
Oh, one other thing that I'm
Oh,
going to
go ahead.
say about the strap match that was rare. Um, Punk actually said it's clobbering time, which if you've been watching, he for a long time goes it's, and then all the crowd says it, and he doesn't say the whole thing, but he actually said it this time. Maybe he didn't know, he wasn't confident that everybody was going to say it along for him.
They might, yeah. Well, it's a German crowd, so it's a different type of crowd. And I mean, that crowd was phew, awesome, awesome for that match. I'm trying to remember
And
the
my
fourth.
other note that I wrote was that it ended exactly the way it was supposed to end. Like it was
Mhm.
exactly the match. It would have been a blow off. If they were going to blow that angle off, that would have been the moment to blow that angle off. But they didn't. And they're continuing the program.
Yep, they're continuing it, which was good, which was fine to how they did that. I just said, oh, I said I said there's nothing for him to. Drew's heat's gone unless he gets it back. So he went and got his heat back. Yeah, all right, here we
So the
go.
fourth match was Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan
Oh
versus the
yeah, the
Usos
mixed tag. Yeah,
in a mixed tag. Yeah.
yeah. Refresh my
Ooh.
memory on that finish.
All right, I'm
'Cause
gonna.
that was Saturday.
Um, I didn't write too many notes about it, but I wrote it would have went exactly like you would have expected it to go with all the run-ins and stuff. And then uh, I don't know
Yeah.
if you this, but JD McDonough got like knocked off the apron by Priest. Like he like gave him a forearm or a punch off
Mhm.
the apron, and he did this like ridiculous, weird, like he looked like a stick figure on like a Windows game on
Yeah.
on on the computer. It it what I had to rewind it and watch it again because the cell was ridiculous and it was awesome. I actually want to watch it again. I want to make a loop of me just watching him get punched off the apron and sell that way. Make it a reel.
Yeah. Just what? This is how you sell.
This is the way you sell it.
Yeah, make them sell. God. I'm trying to
It looked
refresh my
like
memory on that match.
he like
Yeah.
passed away in that like he like
A lot of run-ins. Like you had Carlito come in, JD McDonough come in. You had all these people come in, Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean that was it was what it was. Is the way I look
And
at it.
the crowd stayed so hot for everything. They did exactly
Yeah.
like what they were supposed to do the entire time. The crowd was hot for everything.
Hmm.
Um, the the uh, the viral thing you've seen is like when Rhea put Dominant in that leg vice thing and like strangled
Hmm.
him in the corner. People were like, "I know exactly how I want to die," and they like put that as a meme of Rhea doing that stranglehold on Dom. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Do you, do you have any other notes in your notebook
In
about
my
that match?
notebook up here. No, I just I just said I liked the match and it was what I was expecting because I was thinking like I was just hoping that there weren't going to be so many run-ins and so much stuff happening that people aren't going to be able to follow what was happening, but they didn't do that. So people were able to see what was going on and happening. Everything was well executed. I thought it was a good match. You know, just keep that feud going is what they're
Mhm.
doing. So absolutely. I'm trying to remember. I didn't see anything blown or anything botched. Did you?
Mhm. No, no.
No, I didn't see that. No, no. There was something that I picked up on in the last match that I'll tell you. I want to know if you did too, which was Randy Orton and Gunther, and that
I,
was. Go ahead.
I can read you my notes, and if any of my notes are things that you also thought, that will be fun.
Go ahead.
That's the only match that didn't go exactly like I predicted. The chemistry wasn't as fresh and didn't mesh as well with these two than I anticipated. Somehow, Randy made Gunther look like an amateur, not a world champion.
Hmm.
Randy like an action figure. Commentators never called a German suplex. They never went when a German suplex. They kept calling it a German suplex, and I expected somebody on color to be like, "Here, they just call that a suplex."
Yes. Yes.
but
Go ahead.
but
Continue. I'm going to see if you. There's one thing that just stood out to me about that match that surprised me, and I didn't know if it had to do with it being in Europe or not.
well, one of more just to expand a little bit on that note I was talking about it being as I anticipated. So that goes back to me saying what I alluded to earlier was the crowd's reactions to things because it being in Germany and them going like, oh, it's going to be Gunther's hometown crowd and he's going to be a crazy babyface. And he just like wasn't like he was a good wrestler. Like they treated him like he was a good wrestler and stuff. But like they also didn't boo Randy. But like the night before on SmackDown when they did that in Germany, Ludwig Kaiser had a match and he was massively over as a babyface. Like they it was like Calgary Bret Hart reactions
Mhm.
for Ludwig Kaiser the night before on SmackDown in Germany. So I
Yeah.
kind of expected something like that with Gunther for it to be similar to that, and it wasn't.
Hmm.
It wasn't. It was just like fine. It was like
You
okay.
th- you think they put the strap on Kaiser back in SummerSlam so we could have that at
You mean
Berlin?
Gunther?
I mean Gunther. Yeah, Gunther.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. I think I mean uh, a combination of reasons. I definitely don't think Gunther's bad, but I think like
Hmm.
I don't. I mean, when you're comparing him to Randy Orton, and you go, "This is somebody, a history-making champion," and you go
Hmm.
like, "Oh, I mean, yeah, he is a history-making champion. Like for the Intercontinental Belt, he held that more than anyone else ever had, and um, I, like he just didn't seem like on the professional level as Randy Orton,
Okay, I
as
could
far
see
as like
that. Did
crisp
you?
selling and the whole idea of when they say like, oh, he doesn't waste emotion, like that's something I don't want to say that like Gunther's out there like wasting motions, but everything isn't quite as deliberate as when Randy's doing anything.
Right, right. Randy's very smooth.
Mhm.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best ever. So, one thing I noticed, and tell me if you noticed this, he worked over that arm pretty hard when they
Mhm.
worked the arm, and it seemed to me like Gunther was more of the baby face in the
Mhm.
match because that's he was selling like most of the time.
Right.
Did you notice which arm he took?
Well, the one that had the big bruise on it, the one that
He worked the right arm.
right, it got bruised real hard, so I guess they just went with it.
I think that's what they were doing. Yeah, because I was wondering if you picked up on that too, because he was working the right arm, and I'm going, huh? He's working the right arm. What's he
I
doing?
I didn't clock it, but now that you mention it, I knew something looked off about
Yeah,
how that.
that's probably.
That's
I
what I
don't
said.
know if I didn't
It
know if
might have
Randy
been,
did that on.
but that might
Go
have
ahead.
lent to me going. Their chemistry wasn't as well as I thought it was going to be. Like when because it just looked weird. Probably
Yeah,
because they were working the wrong arm. But
yeah,
in
because
Germany, I don't know. In I know in Japan they work the other side. In Mexico they work the other side. Maybe in Germany they work the other side too. I have
I
no
didn't know.
idea.
I have no
I don't,
idea. Yeah,
I don't know the style there.
yeah, because I heard that they do in Mexico, so and Japan. But interesting. I thought that was interesting. But no, overall, I mean, I didn't expect Gunther to drop the belt. So
No,
I,
it was too
I
new of a champion.
no too new, and it was in Berlin, so I didn't see that happening. I didn't see Cody dropping his belt either. I think they're going to have their. I think they're going to try to. Do you think they're going to do another Roman Reigns Cody at WrestleMania?
No, no. I think it's gonna. I think Roman and Solo are gonna head towards each other. Like I think that the bloodline civil war thing they're gonna push towards that, and I think Cody's gonna head towards Randy. Randy and Cody are gonna clash.
Right.
That's what I. That's what I suspect is gonna happen. But I mean, I've been wrong before, and I can be wrong again.
We'll see. It's just speculation on our part. We're just
Right? Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
brainstorming here, but it was an
Not
interesting show. Yeah.
on the inside of the
Right.
locker rooms to hear the
Yep.
buzz.
Well, let's take a moment here while we're talking about this towards the end of the show. We're going to pause for a word from our sponsors right now. All right, we're back. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us. This is the StewKast. We are talking pro wrestling, specifically Bash at Berlin, and we're about ready to close up the show. I want to thank each and everybody for joining us. We're here every Wednesday afternoon at 12:30 live, but also check us out on anywhere you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are sponsored by Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. Check out the link in the show description. Um, it's great coffee out of Columbus, Ohio. Great company. Click on the link and order. So, Corey, if you go ahead and just give us your I'll give you my final. You give me your final thoughts on basketball, and I'll give you mine, and then we'll get ready to come back together next week.
Well, yeah. There's another topic I wanted to bring up, and I'll do that right after I give my overall rating of Bash at Berlin.
Go ahead.
Uh, I, it was top to bottom. I mean, except for the women's tag team match, I didn't watch, but top to bottom, it felt like it was an ace. Like they like nailed it. But it also felt kind of like a televised house show. Uh,
Hmm.
the crowd was hot. The fact that WWE is doing business, like they did the whole highest grossing international arena sale. They announced that on the sales on that event. Like
Good.
the fact that they're breaking those records and getting those record gates says a lot for the fact that there are wrestling fans out there. Like the fans exist. That
Hmm.
and WWE is giving them what they want, and that's all good for the business. Uh, Other than that, I don't think I have any other thoughts. Other than that, it was it was a good little weekend experience.
Yeah, uh, it's always interesting when I watch the shows, and I just kind of get the feel for it and get the understanding of how it was presented and everything else. And WWE is the very best at what they do. And
Yeah.
they put on a great show. And even the women's tag match, which was probably the weakest match on the show, was entertaining. I mean, I thought it was a good ring psychology. That's the thing I wrote. I thought the mental note I made was good tag team ring psychology because they cut off the ring in half. They weren't just going out there doing spots. They were trying to beat that opponent and kept until the hot tag came in. So the psychology was there. Everything on that show, there was nothing really I didn't like, but I think the one thing that was off was when Randy worked the right arm. And that's the thing I picked up on, and that was it. But overall, I think, like I said, WWE's here, AEW's down here. So it
Mhm.
is what it is. But what was the other topic you had to bring up before we go?
Odyssey Jones. Did you see that Odyssey Jones was removed from the roster?
No.
So they had this Odyssey Jones guy. Do you know who that is? They just debuted him on Raw like 2 weeks ago or something as part of the New Day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they've already fired him because like some domestic abuse charges popped up. So
Wow.
like he's already off the roster. He's already they gave up on that already.
Yeah. And a lot of times, you don't know all the facts, you don't know the whole story. So
Mm-hmm.
he was accused of it. And sometimes they have to do that. They have to, oh, that's horrible. I'm sorry that happened to him. He had a job and then he lost his job because of God knows what. So I hope it's not true. I hope that's not what happened. And I also hope that everything works out for him. But people,
It's an
thank you.
odyssey.
It is an odyssey. People, I want to say thank you for joining us. I am Lou Marconi at lmarconi251 on Instagram, at lmarconi1973 on Twitter X. My co-host and heterosexual co-host, Corey Castle at Corey Castle everywhere.
I
This is
like
the
women.
StewKast. This is the StewKast Wrestling Podcast, sponsored by Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. Check out the link on the show description. Thank you for joining us. We will see you back here next Wednesday. Let me go ahead and get this music queued up. Oh, what did I just do? I didn't mean to do that. There we go. All right. Have a good night. See you next week.
Show's over.